Hello? Hello? Okay. So thanks for coming along. I'm just going to talk a little bit about 5 ways to turbocharge your LMS. So I'll just go into a bit of an introduction and then I'll kick off. So just give some background on ourselves. Chambury Learning, we are a Totara Platinum Alliance partner. We've been with Totara pretty much since the beginning, and we've been a Platinum partner for about 10 years now. And we support over 40 organisations with the Totara Talent Experience platform. We don't just supply the system as a system, we supply the system with the service to actually get the best from it, to make sure organisations push forward, get the enhancement that they need, get the service and actually make sure that it fits, gets the return on investment that you're looking for. And we're just really proud our customers have won awards over the last several years. I'll run through really quickly. That was an NHS Trust winning for building CPD portfolios. This is for a company going live. That was all about compliance training. The highly commended was rolling out e-appraisal. Special mention and the manufacturing, that was organisations that took the system and changed how they use it during the pandemic and actually changed the systems from LMSs into developmental pathways and communication pathways to get their staff using the system. And the final one is integration. So I'm going to pick up on most of these as we go through. So my name's Richard. Mo is on our stand, he's on stand 29, just over the back. So if you have any questions afterwards, you can bob over and have a look, and there's fact sheets to support all of this. I think what we wanted to show is that, of all of our customers, they do amazing things with the system. We find all of our customers, they want a report out of it. They want to know who's compliant, who's not, who's done what, and who hasn't. But once they get past that stage and they're able to actually deliver that, they then look at what they can do with the software to embed it into the organisation. And we've picked out 5 things that we think they do really, really well. So we're going to talk about how you monetize your learning offering. So you've got your LMS in your system, or your TXP, or your LXP, lots of initials and anagrams these days. And we're going to look at how you can actually take that and sell training to start to income generate. And we have customers who are training providers who do that. They do it very, very well. They seem to make an awful lot of money from it, and they're using the system as an income generation platform. We support organisations on memberships where they have members coming in the system and they're trying to do things like professional registration, revalidation, demonstrating they have the CPD, the reflections, the e-portfolio items they need to allow that person to maintain professional registration. So I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. Mandatory training reporting, compliance reporting. We've built a whole suite of tools over the LMS. Can you all hear me? Yeah, over the LMS to allow you to basically get the best out of the reporting tools. It's gone off now, hasn't it? Hello? Yeah, sorry. So we've built some tools on that. I'm going to talk about mandatory training, compliance reporting, but reporting tools we've built in the system to allow people to get the information out, such as live pivot tables. Making it easy for people to use. Most of our customers are enjoying about 95-96% user engagement, and it's not just about going in and doing the sheep dip training, it's about people going in and actually getting something from the system, but making it really easy, and I'll talk about how we do that. And then integrations, which is a key part. Your LMS is just one part of the whole of the organisation systems that you're using, and how do you put all the information in the LMS against sickness absence, things like that, and getting the information out of the system and making that easy. So I will jump in first with some income generation for you. So it's a really simple concept, and we've been doing this now several years. Basically, we find inside the system that someone can go in and they enroll on a course, and we can slap on a PayPal payment for that. But what people like is they like to go and buy things. They like the Amazon experience. They like to go and add things to a cart. You like to say, actually, these are the things that we want to put together. So we've built a platform on WordPress that sits above the LMS, and it basically allows you to publish your course as products, people then to select those products and buy them, pop them into a basket and pay for them. So it gives you payment-based enrollment, basically, in the system. You can create the standalone course, they can be bundled together to create packages, and that just makes it so easy for people to find. Now, if your catalogue has got hundreds and hundreds of courses, they don't all have to appear. You can just have the ones on the cart page that you need people to be looking at, the ones that you actually want to, charge for, etc. And what's really nice about it is that payment-based enrollment can expire. So if you want people to come back every year and do their training again, or you want people to do refresh, you can actually expire them at 9 months, send them an email and say, don't forget to do it again. And when they come back, it goes, can you give me some more money, please? So it's quite a nice process in order to get that money in. And you can use this for any type of training, whether you're supplying training out to other organizations, just selling your content online. Some of our organizations use it as a free process. All their courses are free, and they do it to support maybe service users, and they do it to support carers. They do it to support people that use their internal services outside of the organization. Everything's integrated, so it's not two separate systems. Well, it is, but it's not. But it's fully integrated. It's one reporting area, one set of user data, and the payment gateway can handle the membership database as well. And it can link in, and we've built customization to allow that to link into multi-tenancy. So if you're supplying to 5 customers, as those people use the payment gateway, those people then land on the LMS page, and it has their branding on the page, so it starts to feel like theirs as well. So it's quite nice, and it's used by a combination of 3 products. So we have Totara at the heart, which is the LMS, TXP, the LXP. And then we have WooCommerce, which takes all your payments. And it supports credit card, it supports PayPal, it supports Apple Pay, Amazon Pay. PayPal's really handy because it actually allows you to separate your payments and shunt them into different PayPal accounts for budgeting. And then we use a WordPress site that kind of bundles it all together. And it basically, that is a screenshot of a shop front, and we can see we've got autism awareness. It's £6.99. It's been discounted to £3.99. You can add it to a basket, or you can just buy it now. And once they add to a basket, the basket at the top populates. They go in, buy, and then they've got access to the LMS. It's completely seamless, and the branding would be mirrored between the two. And then you see. So if you go to apprende.co.uk, that's our demo site, and you can have a look at that in action. Animal quiz is free. It's a little fun quiz about animals. Obviously they're not, so don't pay, but you can have a go with Animal Quiz. But the interesting thing, if you add those to a cart, you'll see the payment processes kick up, and if you take those out and just leave Animal Quiz, you'll see they actually disappear completely. And it also gives you the process of people applying to your privacy policies, accepting your terms and conditions. So it's just a nice little way of taking your internal learning and pushing it out. I think the first exposure we had to this, it was a private healthcare company. They ran their training every week, but they had spare places and they wanted to fill the places. So they used this to sell to care homes. So then people in care homes and private and smaller organisations can then buy those extra seats and turn up. So instead of supplying to 8 seats, they were supplying to 15 seats. And it's grown now into an absolute full e-commerce site for that particular organisation. And then we have many customers that are using this. So moving on from that, we then look at professional body portfolios. We supply to the Nursing Times, which is a professional portfolio for nursing staff. But there's many out there. Inside organisations, you have many different professions that are working together, whether it be finance, HR, and basically we can set these up inside the system for you. So I'm going to show you a little bit of information on here. I think the nice thing that we've done with our customers is we've tailored them so they can input their CPD records, and they can either print out just on a plain piece of paper, or they can actually print out on the professional body website, which when that individual is taking their data down and actually submitting it on the professional body website, just looks and feels nice and makes the process really cohesive for them and saves that person an extra piece of work. We can make that a local template as well, or as I said, it can just be a blank template. All of the forms we have are completely customizable, so whether you want to create a CPD log, a reflection log, I've been to today's conference, I want to write about it log. I've seen something on YouTube that was really good that I want to share. You can put all of that in. So you can create customizable forms to capture that data, and then you can publish those across the site on different dashboards. And one of the beauties with the Totara system is that it doesn't come out of the box and look like this. It comes out of the box, it can look like anything you want. It's a blank sheet of paper. So you can create a different landing page for different professional bodies or just different e-portfolios. We built this report and this little block because it's just really handy. I mean, this was built for Nursing Times, and as an example, a nurse has to have 35 hours of CPD in his or her portfolio over 3 years, or they can't practice. And they have to have so many reflections and so many practice hours. And what that little block does on the right, where it says my progress is, it looks at the date inside the system, it looks at how much they've recorded, and then it just gives them a red, amber, green to see where they're at. You can tailor the red, amber, green to show at different stages. So your amber could show at 15, 20, 25, whatever you want it to be. You can change the colours to match your organisational branding. And then it can be displayed in the bottom bit as a management report as well. So managers can then see quite clearly, of my 25 staff, which one of them are up to date with their CPD and their professional registration. So it's quite nice, and it works on any device. It'll work on a tablet, it'll work on your Mac, it'll work on your Windows computer, it'll work on your iPhone, your Android phone, it'll work anywhere, which is really nice if someone's sat in a car or just come out of, say, today, and you just want to tap in quickly and say, I've just been to do here, here's a snapshot, here's a photograph of what I did, store it in there. It was 3 hours CPD, straight onto the system, straight into your portfolio, immediate reporting if you need it, and immediately downloadability of that data. So quite nice and quite simple. And we bundle that with easy to use customizable dashboards. So that's an example of an entry form, which as I said can be customized, full formatting tools on there so people can make it as pretty or as not pretty as they like. That's an index screen, there's just some Latin text on there, and you can see the print option. This one they can select multiple and print on one, or they can one by one. And that's just an example of a dashboard in our branding colours where they can be customized so people just click on and guide through. And as I said, with this one that we developed for nursing, we also have external links off so they can go and see what they actually need to be doing. So it's just a nice, another way of banging, and we developed this initially with East Lancashire hospitals, and they were using the system for mandatory training, and they were hitting about 60-70% compliance. But as soon as they launched this, all of their nursing staff and midwife staff suddenly went, oh, that's really useful, and I can go in and do it. And in turn, it increased their compliance, because the nurses were in doing this, and then they saw they had to do that, so they might as well have a one-stop shop and do things. And I think what we've found with this process is, and this has led off to things like full development pathways, almost like visual catalogues, areas where staff can go in and say, I want to be a coach, I want to be a mentor, and they go click, 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 drive through a series of dashboards, and then they land at an application page, which might be a course in the system, it might be an apprenticeship, it might be something else, but it gets people driven to where they need to be. So I'm going to jump into reporting now. This is something that we do. My background is NHS, you might have figured that one out. I used to be a training manager at a large NHS trust just on the outskirts of Manchester. And it was around the time when all of the litigation started to come in. That particular trust was put into special measures. So my training role as training and development manager suddenly became, oh, we need percentage compliance, we need to get all that information in. So my role went from delivery and management of IT training to actually compliance-based reporting across the organisation to meet insurance standards. So when I come to this from a learning management point of view, what I'm always looking at is how do you keep the organisation safe, how do you keep the people safe, how do you have the data so you can pull that out. So we looked at how you can build dashboards that drive actions, and we have a lot of organisations using these, but making sure that any person who logs in the system, they're driven to action, they can see exactly what they need to see there and then. I'll show you a couple of examples in a moment. If a user logs in, they see what's necessary to them and they see what they need to do. They have a marker that says, do this now, and they get emails to tell them to do the thing at the same time. Fully automated with mobile apps, SMS messages, push notifications, emails, to just remind them to make it really simple, and making sure that what they have to do is fully compliant on the device that they're using. So making sure if it's e-learning, it will work on a phone. If it's e-learning, it'll download on their phone so they can do it on the tube and things like that. And direct integration with BI systems. We find most organisations don't want to report in whole inside the LMS. They want that inside their organisational. So we integrate with Power BI, with Tableau, with other tools, and we're pushing data out continually, either by push-pull or through direct APIs to get that information out. But just some examples for you. This is what a learner might see. These are some blocks that we have. Again, a red, amber, green block on the right. Your right. Which is basically telling them, they're overdue in 3, they're due soon in 2, and they are in date in 4. And again, fully customizable, use the organisation's branding, change the wording so it matches the organization, change the icons so they look like you want them to look like, but having that directly on the page, so if you're a user, you see what you need to do. Maybe even hide the ones that are 0, so that they don't see what they don't need to do. And then presenting them very clearly with a list of what they need to do in the order they need to do it. Where we have customers that have either low-skilled users or users with very, I suppose, high-impact roles where they just need to get in and see, we don't bother with a fancy dashboard with colourful buttons and pretty pictures. They go straight to this. Go straight in, see what you need to do, get compliant, and then have links off to other things as well. It just takes an extra click away from your user. It just means the user goes in, they see what they see, they click the little launch buttons, and bang, the learning's directly there for them. And again, as I said, works on all devices, whether it be Mac, Windows, Android, whatever. Brilliant for the user, but putting that into a manager perspective, this is a sample of a manager report that we have. And it's just a very simple matrix, topics along the top, names down the left. This is your staff, this is where they're at. So we can see these people are in date, they're not in date, and they're due to expire soon. And just having little things as well, like the yellow or the orange, letting you decide when it turns orange. Is it 90 days? Is it 180 days? Is it 30 days? And having all the email notifications that trigger with this. But simple page that a manager can go on and have a look. And having this available as part of appraisal processes as well. So a manager can see this at appraisal. So if they're doing a staff appraisal or a staff supervision or a one-to-one, they can immediately at a glance say, well, Robin, you're doing okay, but you're going to expire very soon in 2 topics. And Ben, probably should get rid of Ben. He's not very good, is he? Yeah. Now, taking that another step further again, we've also built into the system live pivot tables. So what these do is we say in Oldham, we have 72 people, none don't meet the requirement, and they're 100% compliant. Over here, we can just see there's one person throwing that figure down to 98.6% and making it orange. We can open these up and drill them down, and when we drill down, we can get right down to the name of the individuals. That would open up your organisational hierarchy, right down to the names, and this type of report can be at site level, it can be at divisional level, it can be at team level, it can be at whatever level that you want. And we've built in with that will download in that format, in a spreadsheet, in about 2 seconds. So it's really quick. And what's really important is there's no overnight process, there's no wait 3 hours. As soon as that person that's dragging down health, safety and welfare does that piece of e-learning or classroom, it'll immediately go green within moments and update that. So it's just different layers with graphical reporting, and all of the reports in the system can be sliced to show line by line, this person needs to do this on this date, but aggregate that into percentages to show actually by topic, by manager, and just simple reports like, you're a manager, you've got 6 different teams, each team, this is their percentage compliance. You're not interested particularly in the detail, that's for that other team leader to do, but as a manager you can then oversee and see exactly where they need to be. Making sense? Good. Nobody's left yet, nearly. So, I quite like this, because it's just really, really simple. I've got one customer, and in the NHS, conflict resolution is really hard to work out who needs to do it. If you work in a back office, you don't need to do much. If you're on reception, you need to do this. If you're dealing with people, you need to do that. And if you're a clinician dealing with people, you need to do this. And it's all about making sure that people know what they need to do. Safeguarding issues, we see it in the news, making sure that people know what to do with safeguarding. But sometimes that's really hard to work out. So personalisation really helps you that. And that's just one aspect of that. So with the personalisation in Totara, we can target training based on logic. And that logic could be all staff who are on pay grade 5 who work in HR. They get this delivered to them. And it's not just maybe training, that would be the menu bar in the system, that would be the buttons on the home page, that would be absolutely everything on the system. So when they log in, they only see what's necessary. Targeting home pages, so if you have a different job, you have a different home page. So people, again, they just see things that are relative to themselves. So making sure your LMS can give you different home pages for different people and at tenancy level as well. So if you're supplying training across organisations or across divisions inside the organisation, or if your organisation has multiple legal entities, having different branding across that. Branching pathways through learning activities, that goes back to my example for conflict resolution. Where do you work? And when you answer the question, The system then works out, well, you've said this, so I'll show you e-learning. You've said that, I'll show you a classroom. You've said this, I'll show you a self-assessment. So it kind of guides people, so you don't have to worry about having lots of courses set up. You just have one course set up. And it could be as simple as, you go in a course and it says, did you do e-learning or classroom last year? And they answer the question, the answer locks, and it immediately displays the alternative that they need to be doing. So just very, very simple things. And that can be branching one or two things. It could be branching 100 things. So it can be branching through full leadership development, preceptorship programs, or it could be very, very simple. I think the best example I like with this is onboarding. So you've got a new starter that comes with the organisation. The HR system shunts that information into the LMS automatically for you. And when you log in, because the system then sends you an email and says, hey, you're new, here's your login, username and password. When you log in, it says, hey, you're new. And it gives you a bespoke homepage showing you just your induction training. And the person goes away and does their training. And has their manager completed their induction checklist? Have they completed their online induction course? And once they do the requirements and they complete that, then within moments that homepage will change and say, well, you're not new anymore, here's your regular stuff. So it's just a really simple thing, that fully automated, new starter lands in the system from HR system, that arrives in, they get an email to say log in, they log in and it immediately says, here's the stuff that you need to do, either pre or immediately as you start your employment. And then once they do that, the homepage changes. And that changes then to reflect the job role that they do. So then see, well, this is what I'm doing now. And with the logic that we have in the system, that can be profile fields from the HR system, pay band 5, who works in this division. It can be people who are enrolled on this course, people who've completed this course, people who've not done this course. And when you think about training, that's hard to work out. And safeguarding is a really good example. Safeguarding level 1 training is easy. It's unqualified admin staff, basically facility staff. Safeguarding level 3 is easy. In the NHS, it's qualified clinical and medical staff who work in children's units. Level 2 is everybody else, which is the bulk of the staff. So the logic basically says if they're not in 1 or 3, do 2. And then it all helps with this process to automate and make that very personal. So I think the individual only sees what's necessary, what's required for their job, making it much more simple. And we can apply that at course level. So at course level, if you've got 500 courses in your catalogue, let's just show the courses that are required for that job. Admins can overrule it, of course, and they can enroll people into courses they can't see, but let's keep the catalogue focused at job level to make it really easy to use. And just quickly, a couple of screenshots at site level. That's a really quickly one. User is not suspended. They haven't completed the induction and their hire date is after January 2022. That would create an induction homepage. And over there, they're the type of options that you can use inside a course, whether it's the member of a predefined audience, which is on the left, activity of course completions, dates and times frames, where they work, a whole host of things. And that can be as simple as you can't have your PDF certificate till you've gone to classroom. Yeah. But it could also be as complex as go in a course, do a pre-assessment. When you've done your pre-assessments, if you score less than 80%, do an e-learning. When you do the e-learning, go and do a post-assessment. If you score more than 80%, you get a pass. Then give you a certificate. And you can also build into that logic, oh, hang on, you're not having your certificate till you've done your evaluation. And that can also say, can you do another evaluation at 6 months so we can check the ROI and is that being applied in your workplace as well? So I think it's just about making that individual's journey completely individualised as they go in the system, or not. But we do find it works really, really well. And then I would like to talk about integration. So this is big, we do a lot of this. My developers are always working on integrations, APIs, we have slave databases set up for lots of API interactions with multiple internal systems. I always think a lot of reporting takes place in the system, it's good for users and managers, but let's put all of that big data alongside your organisational data. So when you've got your Power BI, you've got Tableau, you've got your other systems, let's push the data to that. And that can be in multiple ways. So we can integrate to HR information systems. Let's bring staff information in. Let's bring in recruitment information. Let's bring in your new starter information. Let's get that information in the system so you can get your new starters in. Because from my point of view as an ex-L&D manager, working with my customers, they're not they're not HR people. They shouldn't be messing with HR data. It should just be coming from the HR system, into the LMS and being managed automatically. We give our customers tools as well where they can manage their manager-staff relationships, because HR systems don't always do that brilliantly, and L&D people have no idea when you're in an organisation of 10, 20, 30,000 staff. Let managers manage their own teams, make it really easy. We're linking to BI systems, as I've just mentioned, finance systems. We have a process whereby a member of staff would like to do some training, they want to go to a conference, they want some money, they want to apply for money, they want a budget approval process, and at the end of it, let's send that information to finance and say, can we apply £600 out of this pot to this budget? So things like that. Authentication is a really big process. You want your staff to log in to the system without another username and password, and you want them to do that at home as well. You know, if they're on their phone, in the car, or they're at home, or they're in the organisation, just let's link it and get them using the organisational username and passwords. They don't have to remember another one. The system then doesn't have to manage passwords because they're managed in the other systems, and it just takes that step away. And tying into that, let's use an organisational URL. So when the person logs in, it's learning dot whatever your domain address is, or like your email address, so it then feels like it's part of the organisational systems, feels like it's meant to be there. And let's brand it so it looks completely like that. And if we have different tenants set up, let's brand those accordingly as well. And the little diagram is just basically saying you can have Totara at the hub, we can integrate to Active Directory, Azure, etc. for single sign-on, single authentication. We can integrate to the HRMS to bring in user data. We can throw CSVs in as well, whether it be user data or course completions that are done elsewhere, but we can have multiple processes running. And we can have single authentication for staff running alongside manual username and passwords for staff that don't have access to IT. So we can have different processes for different staffs based on where they work and what access they have. Single authentication, as I've said, it's just really, really useful. It just takes away that extra layer. As a provider, I shouldn't laugh. We've just been told in the last 6 months, me and my staff are not allowed to know our passwords to our customer systems anymore, because we handle about 600,000 user records that are very sensitive. That's quite difficult. We have a system to manage that for us. And it holds and randomizes and creates all these wonderful passwords that no one can ever remember. But I have one password to get into it, and that authenticates across all of my customer sites. And I can also use that process to say, in my team, that person hasn't undergone police vetting yet, so they can't access our police sites. Those processes work really well and can be managed through Active Directory, Azure, Office 365, and those can be applied to the LMS to give you that control and that access control. Integrating HR information systems, I've mentioned that, bringing your staff records, keeping that up to date, payroll and finance for data, rostering systems. This one I really like. Let's just tell your managers out there that person can't do work today because they're going to training. And tomorrow, let's tell them they didn't actually turn up. Yeah, and let's just have things like that, very basically. Let's send classroom information over. But also, let's send competency information over. This person is now competent in that skill. So when a manager's staffing their area, they can see what skills they have in the workplace straight away and make sure the right people are in the right job at the right time. And also maybe pull people off training if they need to because they've got a staff shortage. So just a nice way, single authentication, but that all works really, really well together. And we do have customers where they keep the HR data synchronized with Active Directory, so it becomes a single integration, single process, but it just works amazingly well. And people don't have to remember passwords, it's just so easy. Is anyone from the NHS here? No? Okay, I'm really proud that we are the only Totara partner that integrates with the NHS system. I'll talk about it a little bit. The NHS have a national system that manages HR, payroll, and learning. And their learning module isn't very good, it's really old. It's a bit like getting a video player now and trying to shove a DVD in it and wondering why it doesn't work. And we are the only Totara partner that actually has a direct integration. What that does, importantly for you, is that transfers training between organisations. So if someone does some training here, at that organisation, it moves with them. So it keeps the training up to date as they move around. That's really useful for you as non-NHS. That keeps you safe, because that means if a doctor does his training at Imperial Hospital and he moves to University College Hospital, his or her training goes with them. So as they walk in, you know that doctor has done their safeguarding, their infection prevention. They're not allowed on the wards unless they have it. These processes make it more simple and better. But going back to non-NHS, That's kind of like a user journey. Let's bring in the data about the user, the email, the first, last name, the middle name. Middle name's really useful. I used to work in Wales, and we had a lot of David Jones. He caused a problem. So we put middle name in the system, solved the problem straight away. Date of birth, unique ID numbers, local profile fields, that's an applicant. Then they become an employee. Let's give them a hire date and employee number, their corporate email address. And then they leave. Let's give them a termination date. And then when the termination date is reached, let's just archive the account. Let's lock their access out, suspend it so we retain all of the data, strip the manager off so the manager doesn't see them anymore. But let's just have that employee journey moving really, really smoothly and have seamless login inside and outside of the organisation. Talking fast now because I'm over time, I think. But I'm the last one, I think, so I think I'm okay. But yeah, just a summary, user management and all the integrations, lets you onboard new starter accounts, new employee accounts, give them access to pre-employment training, automatic population of all the data you need, and if you need to change it, fine, add another field in. If you don't need that field anymore, let's take it out, really, really easy. Enable single authentication to let people get onto their system like it is an internal system, like it feels like it's part of the organisation, so they're not remembering more. And let's manage your levers. Let's take all the HR administration off you as L&D professionals, because HR is not your job. HR is their job, not them, maybe they're there, but L&D is your job. Let's let you concentrate on the L&D process and let the systems manage who works here, who's managed by who, and who leaves. And on that, I'll shut up. Any questions? No? Thank you very much. If you'd like any more information, I've got a ton of fact sheets, which I don't really want to take home, but we're on stand 29, just over by the doors. But if you come over, we've got fact sheets on all of these, and if you want to see anything working, we can show you. Thank you. Appreciate your time.